are doing well tonight and that you're excited about this evening. Now, excuse me, I just have, sometimes when there's something flashing in my eyes, I'm not a normal woman. I can't handle all these many distractions. I've got to just focus and sort it out. So you'll always know when there's a distraction near me. Now, I've had a discussion with a fellow trainer, Karen Levi-Strauss, and we were planning around this meeting. And as we were discussing things, that which we felt would be so beneficial around the theme, we've strategized together. And we felt that before we get to the section where you log in and do the base camp and the club central management of what you need to do, you need to just understand some additional information which would be able to really help you when you go about processing like you're supposed to do. So I'd like to welcome tonight Karen Levi-Strauss, who's going to do the first part of the presentation, and she's going to lay the ground rules down, give you just, it's like a bird's eye view, you know. If you go into any new location, I like to, when I go overseas, I like to look at a map and see where are the central or the key places, so that while I'm walking around on the ground, I in my mind can remember, okay, this thing is over that side and that is behind me, and it just helps to orientate me and get the direction. So tonight, Karen Levi-Strauss is going to give us the bird's eye view so that you can have that fullness. And then when that is finished, we'll quickly do a quick question and answer session from that. And once that is done, then I'll take you into the depths of how to log in, where to go, and all the things related to be able to handle Basecamp and Club Central. And after that, we'll have another additional question and answer session, and we'll finish off with any general questions you might have. And with that, I'd like to welcome and hand over to Karen Levi-Strauss. Please let's welcome her as she begins to share. Karen.
Thank you so much, Bea, for that wonderful introduction. I really am very privileged to be working with somebody that really knows the Toastmasters program back to front. So thank you for that wonderful introduction. Please, can you confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen and you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. As Bea said, you know, really this piece is about understanding how do you start out the conversation around pathways? How do you set your members up for success in the Pathways program? And so I want you to first and foremost be thinking about the fact that those who fail to plan to fail. And Pathways is one of those things that we really do want to look at it holistically and understand how does it fit in and how can we help our members to make the most of what they have. So a number of years ago, when I was asked to train the VPE training, I put together this little infographic which really puts together 6 action steps. And that's about making sure that you understand your program insights, making sure you understand your member insights, then having an action plan that you're going to put in place, and that's your planning that you will do to ensure that your members and your club is set up for success. Then, of course, we talk about our meetings, our club meetings, and we need to put in place some of those recognition and reward measures in order to motivate our people to continue to really be successful in what they're doing. For today, I'm really only going to focus around the member insights piece. And then Bea will take us into looking at how you actually then use Basecamp in order to help you to make the best of the Pathways program. So the first thing that any person who's working with Pathways needs to understand is what are the available competencies and skills that we're going to build through the different pathways that we have. And so Toastmasters have narrowed it down to 5 broad competencies, and those are numbered here: public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, management, and then of course by osmosis you get confidence. It's not something that you specifically can say, I'm going to do this to build the confidence. The confidence comes from engaging in the program and participating and looking at these specific competencies and skills that we're going to build. So there actually are 11 pathways, but I couldn't find a picture that had the 11th one, which is engaging humor. That's the 11th path. And you, as the person who's the basecamp manager, need to understand what is it that is in each one of these different paths so that you can properly help your members to choose the right path. The first thing that I want you to notice here is that underneath each one of the paths, there are numbers. And those numbers correspond with the competencies that are showing up on the left-hand side of your screen. But until recently, I didn't even realize this. But if you have a look at dynamic leadership, the pathway, it has a 1, 2, 3, and 5. And that's pretty simple. It says, yes, those are the skills it's going to build. It's going to build public speaking. It's going to build interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, and then, of course, I get confidence automatically. But if you have a look at some of the other pathways, it doesn't progressively go 1, 2, 3, 4. Some of the pathways have the numbers muddled up. And what's that about? Well, innovative planning would then say that you would start off in that path by understanding public speaking, but then you would jump immediately to management. So you'd build a management competency straight after your public speaking, and then you would hop back to the interpersonal communication, and of course you would get then your confidence. If you have a look at the persuasive influence, you would build the public speaking, then you would build strategic leadership, then interpersonal communication, and then you would build your confidence. So it tells you what order you're going to build those skills in, and it'll tell you which of those competencies will be covered in each one of those particular aspects. The other thing that many VPEs struggle with is to understand what is the full journey. Most people are talking about level 1, then level 2, then level 3. Do our members truly understand what that means? And how then we talk about these acronyms about DTM and club coach, and do our members actually understand what that means? And so the insight here is about understanding what is the educational track that our individual members would follow in order to get to where they need to be. Understanding that some members might only be coming to learn how to do mastering presentation skills, in which case they're only ever going to do one pathway because that's what they're looking at. Our trick is to convince them that the rest of the program is as important and can give them the future skills that they need in their organizations. And so they come in as a new member, they complete their first path, they get that first path for free, of course. The second path they have to pay for, and then we hopefully would have them at a place where we can get them involved in helping to sponsor a new club or run a speechcraft, which is a mini Toastmasters program over 4 or 5 or 6 weeks, depending on how you've structured it, that you can offer to raise funds to perhaps send your club committees to conferences or to buy equipment for your club. There's a few things that you could do. Obviously, mentoring and being a club coach is about helping new clubs and struggling clubs to get themselves back to charter strength, which is 20 members. And then in this call, I'm presuming that the majority of us are club officers, so we are already starting on the track to be able to get towards that DTM. Being a district officer is when you step out of your club and you take a leadership role as an area director or a division director. And then, of course, you need to do a DTM project. And when you've done all of those things, you can then claim the title of being a distinguished Toastmaster. So understanding how that fits together is part of how you would consult with your member to understand where they are and what they want to do. The first thing that I like to do with my members is give them this particular form called the Member Interest Survey. And I ask them to complete that for a number of reasons. So first of all, I want to identify what it is that they want to learn, because it's what's in the with them factor. What's in it for me? How do I get connected into this program? Toastmasters has loads and loads of programs. We want to be able to channel our members to those programs that are going to give them the best benefit. You also need to understand what motivates people. So there's always that discussion about, when do you push really hard to challenge people to finish assignments and to get through the program? And when do you know when to step back slightly and just give them a little bit of space? Because if you push too hard, they may just leave. So it's about understanding what motivates them and how they need to do that, how they need to get connected into the program, helping them to focus on the benefits for them, connecting them to connecting their needs to what the program offers. So that's understanding what's in each one of those pathways. What are the electives that people can take at each of the different levels, level 3, level 4, and understanding then how you can channel them through that, and what support can you give them in terms of mentors and other people who've completed the program before. You need to agree their speaking and leadership goals, and then help them to make a commitment so that the expectations are clear. What are you as a club expecting them to deliver into this partnership, and what will you as the club deliver into this partnership? And of course, it's all linked to what are the skills that they want to build in the background, and which is in turn linked to the pathway. Remember, they can take the test and it recommends 2 pathways for them, but you can override that. So as understanding what's in those pathways, if the person that said, I wanted personal, presentation mastery, and it's coming back with coaching, you can have the conversation around what's in each of those pathways so that they can make an informed decision around that. And of course, it's all about personal development. So under the communication track, we're driving speaking, listening, and thinking. And underneath the leadership track, we're driving participation as the table topics master, as the Toastmaster of the day. So in club meetings, taking leadership roles, perhaps even getting them onto subcommittees in your committee, or even onto the committee, the club committee, to develop those leadership skills. Then even better for your more experienced members is to get them involved in area, division, district, and possibly even international and regional, if you have somebody like Sandra Cooper in your, or Aletta Richard in your team. And then don't forget that you need to grow yourself as well. And of course, all of this, if you look after your member goals, then your club goals will be automatic. And so a goal without a plan is just a wish. And if you want to achieve your pathways goals, educational goals, you have to be planning for that. And you need to be motivating and inspiring people to take the right pathways that talk to their individual and specific needs. And so that really is what I wanted to share with you. And I'm happy now to take any questions. B, do you have any in the chat box for me, or do we want to just take some questions verbally?
Thank you so much, Karen, for a really great presentation. And there was so much that we could learn from that. I don't have any questions in the chat box at the moment. And before we move on anywhere further, I really feel that it's important that everybody in the room is at a good level so that we can go further. So please feel free to ask any questions now. Either put your hand up, the blue hand, in or else you could just unmute yourself as we are not so many, and just ask some questions, please. Let's just see what questions do we have. While people are thinking of questions, I see there is one. I don't know who Deepot Sunday is. Deepot Sunday, would you unmute yourself and reveal yourself and ask your question, please?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's Molif from Lesotho, Rainbow Toastmasters of Maseru. I'm the president in that club. So my question actually is just to request the presenter to go through that slide where it tells how to get to DTM. Okay. Yes, please. Thank you.
In fact, that's exactly what I was going to ask you to do, because that is such a brilliant slide. And I think if we could just hone in on that and look at those components a little bit clearer, because this is such a beautiful pictorial of exactly what it is. Thank you.
Okay, super. So my new member comes in and we ask them to select a pathway. And through either going through the navigator or potentially even just going straight on to Basecamp and taking the assessment. They are then given the specific pathway that they need to do. All of the pathways have 5 levels in them. Level 1 really starts out by saying you need to get comfortable speaking. So you start out by doing an icebreaker. Now, I often get asked the question, when I do my second pathway, do I have to do my icebreaker again? Yes, you do need to do your icebreaker again. And if you did all 11 paths, you do 11 icebreakers over that period of time. I recommend, in fact, it was something that Njabulo and I discussed and chatted when he was Club Growth Director, is that nuance those particular icebreakers. So if it's an icebreaker around presentation mastery, make sure that when you use your icebreaker, you use a presentation that then shows how you want to build the skill in presentation mastery. If it's about dynamic leadership, then do your icebreaker about, in your personal life, where do you use dynamic leadership? In your work life, where do you use that? So that you nuance it for the particular aspect. Level 2 then moves up a little in terms of levels, and in level 2 you would then look at understanding your communication style, understanding your leadership style, and there are a couple of projects that you need to complete to get through that. And I know that B and I both have a spreadsheet that kind of unpacks the specifics of those, but that's not what we're here for tonight. Perhaps that needs to be a future something that we can look at. Level 3 then is about then starting to actually escalate that, and level 3 has a starting to apply skills, and it has some compulsory components and it has some elective components, as does level 4. And then when you get to level 5, it's really about putting all those skills that you've learned in 1, 2, 3, 4 together and delivering those. And then you would then do a DTM project. But you are required to complete some leadership aspects, and those are then in the first line just above the 2 levels. It says club sponsor or speechcraft or youth leadership. So a club sponsor is when you go out to a particular community, whether that's a corporate community or a social community, and you convince 20 people that you want to start a new club. 2 people could then be the sponsor, and in fact I know we've got Rob Douglas on the line, so if you want to ask questions about that, Rob's the right person. He's Mr. Club Sponsor Deluxe. 2 people then fill in all the paperwork and do all the administrative aspects in order to get the club chartered, and for doing that you would then get credits towards your DTM. If you decided that you couldn't do that, but you wanted to coordinate a speechcraft, we at Standard Bank run a number of speechcrafts. In fact, I've done 3 this year during COVID for Standard Bank, for our IT graduates, for our general graduates, and then for our top graduates, which is our CAs. And you coordinate a program and you roll that out. Youth leadership is if you take that same program and you go to a school, and generally they do it either for the grade 7s or the grade 11s, really to help them to develop some leadership and speaking skills. Once you've done that, the next thing that you would need to do is to either mentor a club, which means that you officially go and help for 6 months to a year. You help a new club by helping that committee to do everything that they need to do. Whereas a club coach is if a club has fallen below, I think it's 12 members, then you can be assigned as a club coach and you help to coach that committee on how to get their club back to charter strength, which is 20 members, and they're delivering on their educational goals and their other DCP goals, Distinguished Club Goals. I'm trying not to use acronyms. Being a club officer, of course, you get the credits for being on the committee, on the exco of your club. And then, as I said, once you've been, we recommend that you either VPE or president in your club before you go and do an area director role, because it gives you the grounding that you need in order to be a great area director. And once you've done all of those aspects, which in the bigger scheme of things would take you anything from 2 to 4 years to get through this entire program. It is a self-study program, learn by doing, do it at your own pace. And I mean, there's some people, I know Dave Cairns, he only did an area director probably about 3 or 4 years ago, despite being a Toastmaster for almost 20 years, because you can't be in contests and be an area director. And he wanted to focus on his speaking, so he was competing in the contests, and therefore he only recently did his area director so that he could get his DTM in the process. Are there any specific questions about this? This slide really is helping you to understand what the entire educational program is about. And I'm happy for Rob or B to jump in and add anything I forgot.
There's a hand up from Leah.
Okay, Leah, ask your question.
Hello, yes, thank you very much. No, my question is not about the slide. I wanted to ask, you were previously talking about when members giving speeches, because one thing I've heard is that sometimes it's very difficult to get people to give speeches. So as the VPE, how do you try to find that balance where you're not necessarily forcing people? Because you talked about having that balance where you are not forcing people, but you're trying to encourage them. Yeah, because I've heard that there is that sometimes where members just don't want to give speeches and you don't have enough people giving speeches for your program and stuff like that.
So I'll give my view and then B, if you'll jump in. If you link it to what they want to learn and why they came to Toastmasters, then you keep saying to them, you told us you wanted to learn how to do presentation mastery. The only way you can do that is if you participate. So let's put a plan together between now and the end of the year end of Toastmasters year, of how often you're going to speak and and let us give you a mentor to help you to develop those speeches so that you are properly prepared when it's your turn to speak. Because people don't speak for 2 reasons. One, they're not told early enough that they have to speak, so they don't have enough time to prepare properly. And as the VPE of my club last year, I was very busy and I didn't always get my program out as early as I would like to. Your program should be out at least a week, if not 2 weeks before, if you're only meeting on a monthly basis, before your actual meeting so that people have plenty of time to prepare. The other reason people drop out of the program is because they feel like they're not perfect. So we have to help people to understand it's not about being perfect, it's about perfect practice. And the more I do it, the better I'm going to get at it. But if I have a mentor who's going to help me and is going to prepare me for that, I'm going to feel like I'm going to disappoint my mentor and all the time and effort they've put into it if I don't actually deliver my assignment. So that's my 2 cents worth. B, I'll hand back to you. I also think it's probably, in terms of timing, we probably need to jump into the Basecamp piece, but over to you.
Thank you so much for that, Karen. I would like to just add to that as well by stating, hold on, I'm doing 2 things at once. I would like to add to that by stating, you need to know, or you need to remember, people join Toastmasters because they are fearful, they have all kinds of problems. That's why they're joining Toastmasters. So the fact that you have them up and running in the program does not mean they are ready to be up and running in the program. And sometimes it takes quite a bit on some people, more than on other people. And you have to decide, how much are you prepared to give? I heard, what's that optimist guy's name? He's all about the why, your why, Simon Sinek. I heard him once focus on that thing. And that's the, how can I put it? People are afraid. That's how they are. They are afraid. And we need to be prepared to be able to give. And what he said is that if you have a look at the most successful speakers, trainers, all of those people in the world, the ones that are the most successful are those that have this giving heart. And right now at Toastmasters, as a club officer, you have an opportunity to learn to practice that giving heart. But it's one of the great things that Toastmasters have in this new mentor program is they help you to set up boundaries, because sometimes, I don't know about you, but definitely in my life, I love to help people. I really love to help people. Something happens on the inside of me when I get an opportunity to help people. But I've learned that I need to be able to put up boundaries, that I can recognize how much help can I effectively give in order not to ruin anything that I'm busy with or not to be effective enough there in helping them. So it's really important to understand who is your member and how can we help them, because this is a program that says where leaders are made, and we are made because of the culture of care we create for one another, and then the impartation that we share with each other. So that is really important. Some people have an authoritative type of communication. And if you have that, nothing wrong with it. It's needed in some places. But if you have an authoritative style of communication, you might be making people more hesitant to come forward and to participate in their speeches. I hope that assisted you on that. I just see there's a statement here that I want to just add to. Thomas, what I said, right. Right. Yes, we are recording it, and every person that has registered, Anka normally sends the recording to them afterwards. It's placed on YouTube, and you'll be able to have access to that quite easily. Now, I need to share with you that the next session that where we want to transition to, before we go there, I just want to, because we have enough time, I would like to just make sure that everybody is taken care of and that you have the questions answered up to this point in time. And, oh, there's another hand. Hannah, please share with us, unmute yourself and share with us your question.
Yes, Which Hannah do you mean? There are two of us.
I see there's two of you. The one with the hand up. Hello, Hannah Schmidt. My Namibian Hannahs are here. Okay. It's Hannah Terwanda. Terindwa. There we go. Hannah, or did you have a question as well, Hannah?
Not at the moment. I'm just listening.
Okay. Then it's Hannah Terindwa. Your question, please.
Oh, hi, Granny B. Sorry, I can't show my face. I'm all swollen up and I'm not feeling well, but I had to be here because I really like Basecamp and I did a sort of tutorial for people. But one of the things I would like to say, which has worked in our club, believe it or not, it's something small, but it works. Every time someone levels up, give them acknowledgement on the group. Show a little picture, you know, those GIFs or GIFs, I don't know what they call them, but I've seen that people really respond well to those and they love them and they feel appreciated every time they level up. You show appreciation, you let everybody know this person has finished the level, they're going to level 2, let's go, we're doing this together, and let's be enthusiastic, you know, like our club can't be without the participation of everyone. And yeah, that's just my small contribution.
That is excellent. And you know, within the Toastmasters environment, there are also badges that they've created, these electronic badges. And you can sneakily go in. Every person can give any person a badge. And okay, hold on. Time out here. I need to tell you this. If ever you want to find something on Toastmasters, my advice to you is don't search for it on the Toastmasters website. I don't know about you, but for me, it's a nightmare. I can never find a Toastmasters item on a Toastmasters website because that search gives me 2,000 or 200,000 items to choose from, and I absolutely don't have the patience for that. But if you go outside of Toastmasters and you start at Google and you just type the word Toastmasters, and then you can say how to give a badge, then up pops immediately the exact things you're looking for from the Toastmasters website. So I would like to remind you that this is very...
Can I add
yes.
to that point? Sorry to interrupt you, but I do exactly the same thing when I'm Googling to look for resources, but except I don't just use the word Toastmasters, but actually put toastmasters.org, because otherwise it'll pull in other results as well. If you put toastmasters.org in the Google search term with your other words, then that works great.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I want to then encourage you, look at how you can give others badges and give them the encouragement, because one day when they discover where badges are, and if you're VPE, you can have a little educational and show them that, encourage them to give that to one another. And they land on their badges page and they see all the badges they've earned where people have just been kind to them and have acknowledged something about them. It's really great. Okay, now I need to share something very serious with you at this point in time. And I just got news of that, and I just have to break the news. Okay, first of all, let me just say that whenever I do a demonstration on anything in Toastmasters or whatever demonstration I'm busy with, often you have to make use of a system that, like if you want to log into Basecamp or you want to log into Club Central, you physically have to log in there. And then what happens is when you open it up, you reveal your club members' personal details. And I don't find that that is a very good thing to do. So normally when I do demonstrations like this, I pre-record small sections that covers everything that I'm going to talk about so that I can answer questions afterwards. And it goes into everything, but in editing, I edit out pertinent details in order to protect people and to not expose their personal details. And I have spent good time, created that, did everything well. And for some other reason, the recording was corrupted. And we have tried to get the second, because it's in the machine, it's edited, that it can just play out again, that we can have a second copy. And as I'm speaking to the lady that's helping me there, the internet is just so bad. It is just not downloading fast enough for us to restore that. So I need you to understand that there is a possibility that that crucial part of the recording might not reach here in time for me to share that with you. However, in that recording, these are the things that I deal with. Number one, I share with you that in our club, because before you can go into any level approvals, the first thing you have to do is you've got to check that your member actually qualifies and has truly closed off their level. Now, when I had my second DTM processed, there was a little hiccup with it. I finished my last project of my second DTM already in March this year. So I should have earned my DTM then, the second DTM at that time. The hiccup was that I was a Pathways ambassador, and somehow when they uploaded the list, it states in my part, it says they're Pathways ambassador. So I checked it as part of my DTM. Yet Toastmasters came back to me and said, it's not on their list. So it's not only that it was supposed to be on my side in my basecamp that it reflects there, but they were supposed to, from the ambassador, the chief ambassador, receive a list of names that they can check off that the job was done, that it was completed. And apparently my name was not on there. And that chief ambassador wasn't here. Now I'm telling you the story because I need you to understand something, that they would not give me my second DTM until I was able to chase down the person and they were able to verify that I actually did complete and did more than what was required of me. And that only took me up until the end of July before I was able to have them satisfied to grant me with the second DTM. Why am I telling you this? Although Toastmasters International says that we do not fail people when they have done a project, Toastmasters International has laid requirements and they will not issue you with any education unless you've met the requirements. And in the same way, we as VPEs need to do the same thing. We need to observe that the requirements are there. Now remember, the Toastmasters values are RISE, respect and integrity. And it's that integrity that we haven't just, when you receive the email, that you just go click, 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 approve, and off you go. So I want to encourage you. Here's the system that I have put in place wherever I've been, and the VPEs that I share with, I share the same thing with them. Ask your members to buy a 30-page flip file. Now, the 30-page flip file, when you open a flip file, it has the two sides. And then I always get them, put your speech on the one side and your evaluation on the other side. And as you go, a 30-page flip file takes exactly one pathway. So I'm busy with my third pathway, and I have 3 flip files, and all my speeches and evaluations are in there. Because what we found is when somebody comes, they merely click through their pathways training, and they have now finished with a pathway, and it registers with you in Basecamp that they have finished. But in essence, they have lost their evaluations or whatever has taken place. So when I receive an email like that through Pathways notification, then I contact that member and I ask them, please take me photos of every one of your evaluations because it's in their file. They send me the photos, and I like them to send the photos because I can look at it and enlarge it, and I keep it in that WhatsApp because sometimes there are encounters of whatever kind, and I've got proof that it took place. So those other things I might delete, but that I won't delete. And once I'm satisfied of that, then I go to do the approval. So the most important thing is for us as VPEs to make sure whatever that level needed to be done, that they've actually done those projects and that it has been evaluated correctly. And one more thing that we need to make sure of is the fact that within Toastmasters, they say that please do not do more than one project at a meeting. Now, I know sometimes you have speakathons where you do more than, where you have 10 speeches planned. And sometimes you find a person that arrives there and they've prepared 2 projects, 2 speeches, and they want to do 2. And if you have a look on the Toastmasters International website under the frequently asked questions, it states there that you may not do more than 1 project at a meeting. Now, be careful that you don't confuse that with the following. If I have a speech project, I can do my speech project and I can evaluate someone else because it's my speech project that's going to count for my education. I can do that. But at level 1, the second project has 3 components to it. Evaluation and feedback, the first speech, it has its own evaluation. Evaluation and feedback, the second speech, which has its own evaluation as well. And then it has an evaluator's evaluation sheet. Now, the purpose of that project is to take a brand new member through the process of evaluation. That means the first speech they do, they are guided that you can present a speech on any topic. They do tell you, remember your goals, stay within your goals, etc. And then you need to receive an evaluation. And so they're training you to look at your evaluation and improve on any recommendations that's there, and then go on to the second speech. Now, if people are in the habit of taking their flip file with their speech and their evaluation, then at every meeting when they are being evaluated, they give the actual file to the evaluator, and the evaluator can look back to see what was recommended with the previous speech, have a look at if there's any improvements there, and systematically we can help one another improve because of that. So I want to encourage you that that is something very real to ensure that our members are progressing well and that we are signing them off because they have done what they're supposed to do. Now, remember, I can only do one thing at a time. I just want to see whether the video has arrived through the internet yet. Let me just see. Forgive me for that, but no, it's not there yet. Okay. The next thing that I deal with, sorry, Hannah, I see your hand. Did you?
Yes. Okay.
Right.
So one thing I also discovered, instead of having the actual flip file, and we talked about this as well at one of our meetings, they actually have electronic folders on your basecamp. So, well, I know you've got some people who don't want to enter their stuff electronically, but I find I prefer if my evaluators can just do the PDF evaluation and then I just put it in my folder. I think that makes it better.
That's true. And as you also rightfully said, Hannah, there are not many baby bloomer tech savvy people. And unfortunately, you are in a category, there are some people that understand that, and that's true, that it's a great thing that Toastmasters has created, but some people can't even complete the PDF electronically. They don't know how to even do that. And they forever asking questions. I don't have a printer. And then you've got to show them this, that, or the other of how to handle that. So my suggestion is just the easy way out. But if anybody is really and tech savvy, definitely save it, because then it's there for you to, you know, you're not going to lose it if the house burns down. We trust that the internet won't burn down either. Okay.
Yeah, and also because they made the PDFs in such a nice way that you can even fill it on your phone.
Yes, yes. And I even have an educational for people how to do that and how to save it and all of those things. So definitely it's easy.
Yeah.
And just while we're talking on this, I would like to also add that please remember that during this time that we have, well, okay, I don't know. I just want to quickly go on to view everybody. And please give me a thumbs up if this is what's happening in your area. I would like to just see from everybody here. What we found is that during this time that we've been in lockdown and we've had all these online meetings, people have either not been sending their evaluations to the person that must evaluate it, or the evaluator has not sent it back. Thumbs up if there is a problem with evaluations passing backwards and forwards. Okay, I see that. Definitely you're all experiencing that. Okay, overwhelmingly yes. Okay.
B,
Yes.
sorry, B. The other thing that's important to also remember is that the club secretary should be recording what's going on at those meetings. And so if there's ever any doubt, then it's about going back to the club secretary and saying, you know, did Karen deliver her speech on the 29th of September, 19 Footsack, so that you can actually do that. The challenge that we're having is that not all secretaries are recording that kind of detail. So it's a combination of making sure that our secretaries are doing what they're supposed to be doing, but at the same time that our members are responsible for their own record.
Okay, exactly true. Two things from that. Let me just spend like 1 minute on the secretary part and say, within our club, because we use Easy Speak, we just have a little process that we follow. Straight after the meeting, the Toastmasters and the secretary are the key role players. The secretary is the custodian of all our addresses. So the secretary receives the addresses at the meeting through whichever way it is, and the secretary uploads that onto Easy Speak. Then the Toastmaster can connect who has done what, because sometimes your visitors are Toastmasters and they're taking up a role. Then after the meeting, the Toastmaster closes off the roll. So we have this correct, and then our secretary then prints out that agenda after everything has been done. So there it clearly is the updated agenda with everything in it. It tells you who was there, etc. So it's a perfect agenda which gets pasted in a book, and only any additional comments are added there. So that's the one thing that please, when you go back to your clubs, make sure that just that simplicity is at least followed in your club, so that you have a good permanent record of the actuals that took place. So she doesn't print out the menu, sorry, maybe my stomach is rumbling too loud. She doesn't print out the agenda prior to the meeting. She prints out the agenda after the Toastmaster has closed the meeting off, so that it's the actuals that we are placing there. That's the one thing. The second thing I want to say, what we've done in our club is this. I've created a YouTube channel. Now, most of our people don't want to be on YouTube. So what do? The way we upload to YouTube, there are 3 ways in which you can upload: public, private, or unlisted. I've taken the unlisted format. So I create a playlist. It's called Club Meetings Playlist. And every club meeting that we've recorded on Zoom, I just top and tail it. And then I have a look, I play it back, and because normally we have 4 to 5 speeches, I only look the 4 or 5 speakers that are there, at what time do they start speaking? And then in the description box below the meeting, I would say, John was the speaker, and then I'd give the starting time and I'd write his evaluator. And I do that with each one of the speakers, and I just put the evaluators down so that if anybody has not done something, they can go to our YouTube channel and they can, because it's nobody else can see it. It's only us that can see it that have the link. And that link of my playlist, when you have a group, let me just grab my phone here. Sorry. When you have a group on WhatsApp, the group normally has, let me just get a group. There's our toast. Okay. If you have a group and you click on the group name, sorry, I tried to do that. If you click on the group name, you will see there's a description that comes in. I don't know how good you, oh no, my green screen is on. But there's a description if you click on the group's name. And I normally paste our Google Drive and our YouTube unlisted playlist in there. So all our members can do is they click on the WhatsApp group description link and they can quickly look where is the meeting. They know what time it is, and if the evaluator didn't do their job, they can go back and redo that. Okay, I stop at that because that's not what this training is about. But I felt that those two things, especially for VPEs, is an important thing to make sure that you can put into place. And now I want to look at it. It's a 7-minute video, and I just want to see if it's there because the corruption that took place afterwards. She sent me a message now that we started to play it a while back already but it seems through the internet it froze. And so I am sorry. I'm going to have to disappoint you in saying that the main thing that we came here for tonight, to be able to go onto Basecamp where I have blocked out the things, I cannot present that to you right now. But I have every person's email address through the registrations, and I will be able to send you that video. And Anke, please tell me, I'm sure we can actually add that to the YouTube as well to make it easier on your channel. Would that be fine with you?
Yes, we can put the link in the description of the YouTube video, the link to the recording.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So in order to just tie that up so that when you go through that video, that you can understand the video, to make sure you'll understand. I'm sure you'll understand it because it's really quite self-explanatory, but I will just take you through it. So all we do is I talk about how you need to check what you must do. Then I take you how to log in as a Basecamp manager, how to log into Basecamp. Then I show you where to go to approve, and that sometimes when somebody just merrily clicks along, you see they landed up there, then I tell them I'm denying it because they will receive an email that says it's been denied, so that they don't go into you know, and that they understand and I tell them the reason why I deny it, even though in 3 or 4 weeks' time they will be ready. I say to them, I'm denying it now, just go through the motion again so that it reflects the true date of when you actually finished with it. And then they're all happy. Then it's not a problem. They know it's going to come and they understand they've made a mistake. Sometimes people even contact me and say, oh, I've made a mistake. And then I said, don't worry, I'm going to deny it. And then when you're ready, we'll redo that. So just assure them of that. Don't do things and all of a sudden they discover it in horror. So then you approve or deny it, whatever is taking place there. And from there, because I'm in Basecamp, because on Toastmasters, you've got to understand it. I call it the front side and the back side of Toastmasters. Maybe that's not a very nice thing to call it, but forgive me. For me, the front side of Toastmasters is when you enter the website and you can go to Club Central, and from Club Central, you can go to any part of Toastmasters International website. But for me, the back side of Toastmasters is once I log in, I click on my name, and it takes me into this Basecamp environment, which for me is the backside, because once you're in that backside, you can't get out. And the only way to get out back to Toastmasters International is just to click on the URL and type toastmasters.org and get back there. That's the fastest way for me to do that. If you find a faster way, go for it. Okay, so we've approved in Basecamp, and because I'm in Basecamp, I in the video show you how to go into that person. Let's say it's Tom White that I have just approved his level 3. Then I show you exactly how to find Tom White on the system, how to go into his place, click on his certificate and copy his certificate, and I actually print them out. And we are going to have our first face-to-face meetings in October. And I've got a pile of certificates to give to all these people. But you can just make a digital copy, and at the next meeting, you can just flight and show that digital copy. If you put it on a PowerPoint, your PowerPoint that you have in the beginning of a meeting, then when you come to the part where you congratulate them, you just show it on the PowerPoint, and then you can print it out at a later stage for them. So I do the approval in Basecamp, and I do the certificate because I'm in Basecamp. And when I'm finished there, and I also, what you must look out for carefully is when you look at the levels and in your training, just after the level, it will tell you pending training or whatever the case may be. Look at your people regarding that. Okay. Then the last thing, when you finish there and you want to come out of Basecamp, then the thing I do is just go to the URL, type toastmasters.org, then it takes me to the front side of the website. And then you have to go to Leadership Central, Club Central, and I show you exactly where to click. I enlarge it. It's professionally put together, the video, so that you can see everything of what you need to do there. And then I show you how to upload the educational. So in Basecamp, you approve. In Club Central, you upload it to Toastmasters International. Even for them, it's two separate things happening. So if you've approved it in not Bootcamp, I keep on calling it Bootcamp instead of Basecamp. It's a bootcamp for me, I can tell you. In Basecamp, you're busy with educations. And Toastmasters International is this side and Basecamp is this side. And there isn't a bridge. You as VPE, you are the bridge. You physically tell Toastmasters International what you did in the training with the people. You tell them, I have approved a level, and you go to Club Central and you upload the educational there. And the other thing that you can do once you are finished with all of that is, I always just feel that a blank moment? No, my two Hannahs, Hannah, I just had a blank moment there, sorry. It's time for us to finish. Like Hannah was saying, we encourage the people and we do rah-rahs. Have that certificate ready, and even if you paste it on your WhatsApp group and say, I just want to congratulate Tom White, he has done his level 4, and we're all excited and everybody celebrates at that moment. So with that, any other questions? I want to quickly look at questions.
B, there's 2. There's one from Lizzie who says, do you need a signed consent form when you record a meeting online? Also taking into consideration that you may have visitors and I presume also guests.
Yes. Now, what we normally do to make that easy is when we start our meetings, we have a PowerPoint, and the PowerPoint just says the meeting is going to start such and such a time. And please take note that the meeting will be recorded. So if you attend here, you consent to the meeting being recorded. And Anke did that right at the top here. She said the first message that she put down is, note, we are recording the meeting. So in other words, we say, you are welcome to be here, but if you do not want to be part of a recorded meeting, then please note this meeting is being recorded. So that gives an opportunity for people to leave. The legal side of it is that people need to know they're being recorded. That's what's important. The other thing that you can do is, like what I do in our club, is I say, please note our meetings are being recorded, but although we load them up into Facebook, we do not put them out publicly. So anybody that searches for them on the internet or on YouTube will not find them. They have to have our link, which means if you have done a speech and you actually like your speech and you want somebody to see your speech, you can take the portion of your speech and you can remove it so that you can show it somewhere else because it's your speech. You can do that, but you can't take the entire recording and show that openly to anybody else. And that's also that you need to just put down for people to understand. What was the second question?
Okay, the second one was from Daryl, who said, as a legal person with the information posting, example, the Protection of Personal Information Act, which is a South African act. Daryl, B is from Namibia, but I'm sure they have a similar act. May be important and must be considered before any information is to be published. He's not perfectly au fait with what the act says, but it is certainly there.
And that's for that very reason that when I do any demonstrations, because with the VPE demonstrations, normally you have to dig in and reveal your club's information. And I don't want to do that because it's not right. That's why when I do that, I use an editing that just blurs out their information. I just keep a name. I even did a treasurer's training on Saturday, and I had to go and create a fake club and upload things, and I had to take our club members and change their names and phone numbers and PO boxes and email addresses and everything so that we can ensure people are kept safe. Very, very important to do that. So I'm sorry, for the sake of safety, my thing bombed out, but you will get it and you will be able to, and you are welcome to ask questions afterwards. In fact, you know what I have here? I've got I'm finished, and if there's any other question, you can just let me know if there's another question. I just want to get my form quickly. I have a form here. If you want more details and you want to ask other questions, it gives you space for that. All that form has, it's just asking your details. Then I can send you a link with the resources. And there's space if you have any questions and you'd like to ask an additional question, you can do that. So I'm quickly putting that link down in the box for everybody. And then one last pointer that I would raise is click on the chat so that the chat box is revealed. That's if you're on a PC, because if you're on a phone, it could be a different story. But if you're on a PC and you've clicked on chat and the chat box is revealed, at the bottom right, where you type the chat in, you will see to the right-hand side, there's a thing called file where you can upload a file. And next to it is a little square with 3 dots. If you click on the square with the 3 dots, the top option is save the chat. And if you click that, you are able to save the chat on your PC so that you can have the link and click on it later, or any questions that were, or any information that's there. So remember that if you go to any Zoom meetings, because sometimes there's valuable things in the chat or documents or all kinds of things. And if you save the chat, you can enjoy it later. And with that, we are 5 minutes over our time. So if there's no more questions, then... Is there another question? Yes. I heard somebody.
There's nothing in the chat, B. And
I think someone's just unmuted.
Yes. Okay, is there anybody else that had a question? You're welcome to ask it now quickly before we switch off. Okay, if there's nobody having a question, Then, Karen, did you want to say something just before we leave, or are you happy?
Just, you know, this is a journey that we do together. I think Pathways is new, irrespective of how many of us have actually been in Toastmasters for a number of years. And reach out to me, reach out to here. Somebody's bound to have the answer. Let's just enjoy this journey and help to make this the best place for our members to learn and to grow. And thanks for your partnership, Bea and Anka. I've really even learned something.
I think.
Cool, she's just dropped there. All right. So, Granny Bea, just to confirm, the recording that you'll salvage at some stage, we are going to, what we'll do is we can just tack that video onto the end of this video. All right.
Right.
Between you will do that. Then the recording that we give you guys will have it all. All right.
And so please accept my sincere apologies, but I can't just log in and expose everything. And I really tried to make sure that it was done. And I couldn't believe when the PC slammed down the corruption that took place. So I really apologize for that.
Thanks, Granny Bea. Life happens. I think we understand. Thank you very much, Karen and Granny Bea, for a lovely session. We hope to have many more with you again. And VPEs, Granny Bea, is your WhatsApp group still open to have more VPEs join us?
Yes, would you like me to quickly put the link in there? Let me just quickly grab it. No,
yeah, Granny Bea's got a really active, awesome VPE group. And if you're not part of it already, just see that you get that link and join that group, because she gives a lot of useful information and shares other trainings on there as well.
And I just have it now. Cool. There's the WhatsApp group. So you're welcome to join that. And that's called a VPE training group, so that we can do more training there. And in fact, although it says training, it's not that we physically do a lot of training there, but that's where you can ask questions and that you receive advice there. And there are resources connected to that, with folders in, with a lot of, there's movies and documents and all kinds of resources in that group. So you are welcome to that. Thank
I'll also
you,
include the link to the WhatsApp group in the email
Great.
with the recording. Then you can open it from your phone and easily access that. Cool.
Perfect.
I'll just stick around in case anyone needs to take any of the details down. But that is a wrap. Thanks, everyone.
Greetings and welcome to another training session, this time for VPEs, on how to close off a member's level and to approve it. Now, what you need to realize is there are two places in Toastmasters that you need to be able to do this. First of all, what I do to make sure that there's a good control of what's taking place is when I receive an email via Toastmasters International that a member has finished a level, I contact that person and I request copies of their evaluation forms, because I need to make sure that they have understood the projects correctly and that they have completed their projects correctly. Now, in our club, what we do is we ask the members to buy a 30-page flip folder, and they place their speech on the one side and the evaluation form on the other side. So every time they go to a Toastmasters meeting, it's one file, it's easy to carry, and everything is together. When they have just finished the last speech of a particular level, and I'm at the meeting and they can bring me their folder and say, this was my last speech, I can go through it and I can check it off that it's done. But if it wasn't possible for that to happen, then I normally ask them to send me copies of their evaluation so that I can just make sure everything is fine. Once that is done, then I proceed on to basecamp. As normal, I just click on my name, and here you see a place to enter Basecamp. And because I'm VPE, it has that extra check mark that I can check as enter as Basecamp manager. Now, I'm part of 2 clubs. I'm VPE of 2 clubs. So I will select the correct club, swak op munt, and off we go. Go to pending requests. Right, you can see here are more than the person that I'd like to approve at the moment. And both of the other people, the one is out of town and the other one has just not had an opportunity but will come later during the course of the day to bring me their evaluation forms so that I can check them to make sure everything is the way it's supposed to be and then make the approvals. The third person, Marie-Claire Renz, has sent me her evaluations. We have finalized everything and it's ready for approval. Once the page is open to show which members there are that I need to approve, I copy and paste that information onto my Excel spreadsheet, as you can see here. I do that so that I can have a record, because once you've clicked OK, it disappears. There's no track record for you to see who you've done what with. And if a club member says, but I did this or I did that, then at least you can have a record of what you've done. So I copy and paste it like this, and I type my little stories behind there if I'm waiting for somebody or if there's some other reason why we're waiting for something. And then once the approval takes place, I put it down there. And now I'm going to do the approval. The approval is really simply just click the check button. They say, please enter any additional comments. Normally, if there is a denial, it's because somebody has merrily clicked through everything. They haven't finished the project. They haven't even presented the speech, but they've just done all the clickings and it registered. I go and I deny it so that once they really finished with the project, that it comes back up again. And at that moment, then I will just state their project not yet completed so that it can come back up again. With this, I just do the submission. Now that you have approved a level of your members' education, it's time to issue them a certificate. We like to do that at our club so that when they come the next time, we can present them with a level certificate. And you can print that for them. So how do we do it? You just go to the search portion and type the person's name in. There it is, Marie-Claire Renz. Once it loads her, you go to transcript. Yes, it's now called Parts and Learning, not transcript, Parts and Learning. You see what's very familiar to yourself when you log in for your own curriculum. And I load her leadership development pathway. There I land in, I see her first level. I click on view details for the first level. And here you can see her first level is complete. And now it shows view certificate. I click, voila, a certificate for Marie-Claire that we can just print out and hand over to her. I want to encourage you to print out those certificates. It's really good for people and encourages them to keep on going once they receive the first certificate of level 1 completion and then the second level. And it also makes the rest of the members desire their certificates. So let's encourage our members. Let them finish their levels and complete their pathways. Just one word of caution. Some people try to complete pathways really fast and they go from speech to speech because that's what they see. But please have a look at my training. What's the difference in approach from legacy to pathways? There's a lot of important information there. The next thing that we do is to go to the Club Central through the Leadership Central portal. And there's no ways that I can access it here. I haven't found an easy way other than going to the URL, retyping in toastmasters.org and landing on the login page. And from there, I click Leadership Central, Club Central, and select the appropriate club that I want to upload a educational award. So this is the second place that you have to go. And then once you have done that, we just say upload educational award and select the person's name, select which award, check and finalize. It's done. And that is how we approve a level on Basecamp Manager, plus we upload an award on Club Central. Remember, there's 2 things that need to be done as VPE. And with that, I look forward to having you at our next training. So from me, until next time, cheers. For more Toastmasters training videos, please visit my YouTube channel, GrannyB007, or you can have a look at my website where I turn these videos into training blogs.